Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is the man that I would like to hire as my assistant. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how are you doing on this fine evening?
Why am I the assistant?
I don't know. Because that's the name of the episode we're going over.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You don't want to be my assistant, Doug?
Heck no.
Oh, come on. I mean, you would know all the ins and outs of me. I mean, even though you kind of do.
Oh,
You're like,
come
that's
on.
why that's why I don't want to be your assistant.
That's what you have kids for, isn't it?
Oh, I wouldn't hire my kids as my assistant. There's too much dirt.
He said I wouldn't. That was good. I have just as much dirt on them, if not more. So I don't know if you'd be hiring me either.
I know, but you ain't gonna save my dirt, so it's all good.
You don't know me.
I kind of do.
You don't know about nobody.
But all right, everybody, welcome to another Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. And currently, I don't know if I'm releasing these episodes like back to back to back to back to back. I don't know if maybe on the Patreon, but on the free feed, these episodes might get chopped up just a little bit because these episodes don't really matter when we do air them out. We can just throw it out at one point and just throw it out there and just say, hey, here's a special episode. But we're doing the Pokemon Twilight Wings saga, the good 8 mini series episodes that came out in 2020, Doug.
Yes.
So, but yeah, today's episode is going to feature episode 5 and episode 6. Episode 5 being titled Assistant. So it looks like we're going to be getting into Oleana's character. And then we jump right on over to Moonlight, which will be episode 6. So I will go into that in more detail once we get closer to it. But are you ready to jump on into these episodes, bro? How are you feeling so far with this series?
It's good. We're exactly at the halfway point. Like I said, at the end of the last episode, we had a couple of really good episodes back to back. I feel like they're hitting a stride. Spoiler alert: I did enjoy episode 5, which we're about to talk about. So yeah,
All right. Cool. So it's time to get on into it then. Let's go ahead and start episode 5. Episode 5 premiered in Japan on June 5th, 2020, and here in the States. Hey, look at this. This is a good stat, Doug. It premiered a day before Japan, June 4th of 2020,
wow,
according to Bulbapedia. We don't ever get a Pokemon episode before they get it in Japan.
heck no.
Hell no. So, and not to pique your interest, me and Doug are keeping track of a baseball game currently right now. Currently up to bat are your Cubs, and there's 0 outs, Doug, and there's a one of your Cub members on first base and one on third.
Yeah, well, the last time you said that, there was a double play.
Yeah, there was, but that was not within my favor. This one's within your favor. So
Yeah, well,
all it takes is one good hit. So
in all honesty, they just need to get it in. Well, no, they don't. There's one out now. So
yeah, there's one out now. They just got an out. But
but
all right. All it takes is one good hit, and they're back up in this game. Right now, it's 4-3, everybody. So, all right, I know that's neither here nor there for you. Me and Doug are just chomping at the bit as to which one of our teams is gonna win today. Is this
well, especially against
is this a double or a triple header game?
okay,
I mean, in the series,
it's a quick twofer.
a quick twofer. Okay, I wasn't sure if this was a 2 or 3 3-day run. Okay. Okay. Cool.
And this is just funny considering that when these episodes are coming out. I mean, what are we like? Is this like June, possibly July? So like,
Yeah. On
this is
on on
completely
Patreon.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's completely irrelevant. But um, these episodes that we're doing right now, at least on Patreon, it's gonna be our June special, and then these episodes will be making its way to the free feed at some point, maybe end of July, early August. At least this episode that you're listening to right now, late July, early August for the free feed. So and there's gonna become a time, and me and you has started talking, Doug, and I guess we can talk about it on this episode just for like 2 or 3 minutes. But there's gonna come a time that some of these specials that we're doing are gonna remain just on Patreon, right?
Yes, yes, I think that's the goal. I think you and I have even outlined um one of our first big things that's going to be Patreon exclusive.
Yes.
We're not quite at a point where we're willing to announce it yet, but I think the going plan is to heavily hype it on the free feed so you know that it's coming, but it is going to be behind that Patreon paywall.
Yes. And
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 you're
it's
going to
not.
want to subscribe to Patreon to hear us review it.
Yes, yes, you are. We're gonna have Patreon exclusive, possibly movies, specials, because all these specials that you're getting right now, yeah, we're hyping it up right now. We're giving some of these to you to show you that these specials can be fun, but at some point you're gonna end up just only getting our regular TV episode reviews on the free feed at some point. But yeah, there.
And
Sorry.
quite frankly, the first big one that we're talking about, which I think behind the scenes we've basically locked in that we're doing it. We just haven't locked in like,
When we're
you know,
recording
when we're recording it and all that. I'm a little upset that neither of us thought of it.
it.
Um, this is a complete shout out to Grant. I think he's the there's probably a few of y'all on the Patreon that probably know what we're talking about.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm mad that we didn't think of it first, if I'm being honest.
I know. And shout out to you, Grant. You know what we're talking about. There's a specific movie. Normally we do holiday special movies which you guys have seen, and I'm not going to say what it is because we haven't fully locked it in yet. I mean, it's semi locked, but it's not. But for the past couple years you guys normally get a nice Christmas or late Thanksgiving, early Christmas gift, where we review a movie and it comes straight on to the free feed and the Patreon at the exact same time. um, Coming soon, those holiday specials are going to be going on Patreon.
Yes.
So yes. So I'm going forward. I'm not sure what we're doing. We're gonna do something special for you, but those are only going to be on Patreon. So,
Right. We
but
one of the things that we needed to do was um we needed to establish that people were
interested
inclined, interested in actually doing it, and it seems like there's enough of pardon me, there's enough of an interest that I think we're confident
to do
that
it.
we're going to start putting some of these, and we're trusting that a good majority of everybody is going to follow us over because they're going to want to hear our content. And yeah, so I mean, we're giving everybody fair warning that at some point some of the good stuff is going to be a little bit behind the paywall, but
It'll be worth it.
we're not going to jack the prices on you out of nowhere.
No, 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 no. The prices that they are right now are going to stay at what they are. You guys know what you're in for. A lot of you are following us right now. Again, follow us at Pokey Breakdown for all the details because at the beginning of each month I post on Twitter what the schedule for the month is, so you're not surprised at what's coming out when. So I've been doing a good job the past few months of outlining what episodes are getting ready to come out on both Patreon and the free feed.
And
So
I've seen those posts, and they look pretty good. So
thank you, thank
nice
you.
little color coordination.
Yes.
Can't be mad at it.
So all right, bro, you ready to get on into episode 5, Assistant?
Yes.
All right. So so we start this episode off with a big beaming light. Oh, I need to put my my captions on. There you go. All right, with a big beaming light, and you see the light kind of just swarming around, and and you go into it looks like they're inside a science office and someone's like, as I've said many times, the variance of 0.00025548 will have a much greater ramifications on the results than you have speculated, and it won't be possible to fully comprehend the behaviors of acclimating microscopic analysts. Yeah, they're just going over just
It's the
science.
second time I've heard that line, and it doesn't make it any better.
So
I was like, oh, there's no way he's gonna go word for word on that. That's just a bunch of science mumbo jumbo. Well, shut my mouth.
yeah, I just did, and it still don't make sense. But yeah, they're talking about Gigantamax Pokemon. So
Yes.
on the computer, and I'll kind of clue you in a little bit, Doug. In the newer Pokemon game, you can Gigantamax your Pokemon at certain gyms or certain hotspots that are around the region of the game that you are playing. And when you Gigantamax your Pokemon, you Gigantamax them, and they get bigger and they get stronger, and you can use 3 moves before they shrink back down to their normal state.
Okay.
And this can only happen at certain spots that have like a crystal, or the field has a certain type of energy. You can't go to just anywhere to do these Gigantamax, or G Max as they like to call it, um, to do these G Max moves or anything. You have to be in specific spots, or certain gym leaders have it on their field, and you can do it there, and um, different things of that nature. But that's what they're talking about here. You see a Butterfree on the screen. They're talking about a G Max Butterfree and talking about how big it's gotten, and reportedly um, there's new variations of this and different prototypes. And you also see off in the corner a Gmax Pokeball. And
Yes.
that is a pink ball. And when you Gmax your Pokemon, you call it back into its Pokeball. It links up with a crystal that you have around your wrist. The Pokeball gets like 3 or 4 times its size, and you take it and you toss it into the air, and out comes your big Pokemon. Doug?
So the we see a researcher is just working away, and door opens at the back of the office for the lab. I would say the lab, and we see his shadow walking up, and we
Eh,
we
eh,
look and we see that it's Rose.
Yep, you could tell just by the shadow on the ground.
And he's like, "Now this is fantastic." You know, I think we can see that a diamond in the rough has been hiding here all along, and we get a closer look at the lab tech that's been working, and we see that it is in fact Oleana, and we flash to present day, and we see that Oleana is working the phones, and She's like, it won't be an issue. We're gonna take care of it on our end. It's like, okay, see you later. She, you can tell she's kind of
In her own world.
frazzled a little bit, and um somebody comes to the door and says, "Vice President, it's almost time." And she stands up and she's walking down the hall.
How do you like the Galeria and Mr. Mime in the background, Doug?
Um, a little creepier than the original.
It's a ice type. So the other one's a psychic type. This one's an ice type.
Doesn't matter. It's still creepy.
It
Uh,
is. It is.
and we kind of see the hustle and bustle of the office. We hear announcements. We hear the chairman won't be in the office today. Um, Please concentrate on your work and do your best. And she kind of giving the rah rah, and then we kind of get
She's like,
um
I'll be counting on all of you to do your best.
we
And then,
get
and then,
kind
and
of a
then, and then we kind of go about her day of her kind of doing presentations, right?
yeah, we get kind of a sped up version of the region, and she's walking down the hallway. And what's the name of that Pokemon? I
Which
know it.
which
Um,
which Pokemon?
I'm at 152, and she just walked past it,
Okay,
and I
let me.
know it.
I'm like
It's a
9 seconds ahead. Oh, Sudowoodo.
Sudowoodo. I knew it because it was in a season that I watched, and I think it played a big factor in probably one of the last games I played,
Yes,
because
Sudowoodo.
you had to learn cut, and it was so we can see that the office is buzzing, and she's on the phone and she's filling out paperwork, and she's at presentations, and she's
Oh, I want to point out to you, Doug. There's a Pokemon at the beginning of the presentation. So if you freeze the frame as soon as she gets into this room, let me.
okay, yeah, I'm on it. 156.
Yes, that's a Galarian Ponyta.
Okay, that I could mess with.
Yes. So that that is the new version of Ponyta in the game, and it becomes a very beautiful, beautiful mwah, Rapidash. And the Ponyta just looks all sorts of just stunning. I love the Galarian Ponyta.
I see.
So, but yeah, she's going through her day. She's going through like presentations. She's in an office doing a bunch of work. You see a blimp go by, and you get a glimpse of her doing work at a Pokemon stadium and basically doing all the background work. She's at a construction site watching Pokemon doing projects and stuff. She's back
What's
in the
the
office. Sorry.
what's the Pokemon at 210?
At 210, give me 1 second. Which one?
It's an elephant.
Oh, the elephant. Not quite sure. Let me
Now, the
actually, I
heck?
actually I can find that out. I know it. Let me see. Pokemon. Ba, 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 ba. It is a Cooperadra.
Ah, very nice looking.
Yes, very very nice looking. It
So
that
yeah,
that that that, that that's one of the newer Pokemon in the game.
she's supervising the construction. We're back at the office. She passes the Sudowoodo again. Somebody's trying to get her attention. Um, it looks like we're dealing with a computer problem, like a hacking job. Um,
Yes, that Pokemon is a Rotom, which is on the
ah,
screen. So it can be good or bad. So it looks like in this instance, it's a virus
yes.
that's kind of going haywire. But that Rotom is actually a star in the newer Pokemon episodes because it goes into a Pokédex and it makes the Pokédex fly around and talk to Ash instead of having Ash like pull it out all the time. And it automatically identifies Pokemon.
Damn.
Yeah, the Pokédex is now a it's a Rotom Pokédex. So it's a Pokemon and a Pokédex at the same time.
So it's like Alexa.
Yes. Well, Rotom, yeah, Rotom can go into any electrical device and make it become alive.
So it's
Is what?
Alexa.
Yeah.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Um, so yeah, the we see some programmers are dealing with that, and of course she can step in because of her days as a researcher, and she fixes it with no issue. And um, pardon me, and she's jumping in and she's putting out fires, and she's
Basically,
on the
she looks like she's pretty sad. To be honest, I mean that's the vibe that you get because I mean everybody comes up to her and wants to ask her questions and get her input, and she kind of goes through her day kind of just mellow, like no break.
she's very much on autopilot.
Yes.
And she's finally got a moment back at her office, and then we hear, Vice President, your transportation's ready. She's like, God damn it, I just sat down. And she's like, all right. And yeah, we see the daytime is gradually shifting into evening, and she's shaking hands, looks like she's done. She pardon me, she she takes a call and she's like, all right, I'll be right back. And
And
we
then we
see
get a pumpkaboo.
And we get a Pumpkaboo, and then we get let's see,
A Galarian Meow.
okay, that's cute. And then what's this little fella at
Miss
322?
uh,
That the same Mr. Mime from The Office?
you said at 22?
322.
Yes, that's Mr. Rhyme. That's who Mr. Mime, the Galarian version, evolves into.
Oh boy, he doesn't look creepy. He looks annoying.
Yes, he does.
Um,
Just think if Mrs. Ketchum's Mr. Mime evolves into something like that.
so you see her walking through the streets, and then we see another one of the overnight taxis land, and we what's it? Rose gets out and he's like, Oleana, I was right.
I thought it
And
was you. And he's like, I
he's
saw you walking from the air. I'm on my way back to the office now. Would you like a ride there with me? And
she,
she kind of it kind of pans away over to the Mr. Rhyme that's dancing its way in the streets, and then it just fades to black. They're in the flying taxi again, and Mr. Rose, he's like, I heard a lot happened over in the office today. Is everything all right? All issues have been, and she's like, yeah, all issues have been resolved. There are no problems at all. And the chairman is like, he's like, so that seems like you can run the company on your own without me then. And
and
she's looking through her paperwork and comes across that letter that the kid gave her from the hospital. Doug?
and she's like, oh, absolutely not. And she's like, after all, you've got your own work to do. And she hands him back the letter, and he kind of chuckles, and he's like, I guess I do, don't I? And she she goes back to having that faraway stare, and he's like, I can't tell you how grateful I am to have you by my side. And um Oleana's like, well, it's my job, sir. And um
The guy that's driving the taxi, he tells them to look over at the stadium that they're about to fly over. Because there's a
and
Gigantamax Pokemon battle going on, Doug.
yes, it's a Lapras and a
Torkoal.
right. That was going to be my next guess, and the you can't tell me it wasn't. The pilot's like, I tell you, Dynamax Pokemon are just incredible. Um, and Oleana leans um, forward and hits the speaker button, kind of like they have in limos. And she's like, "No, those aren't Dynamax. Those are Gigantamax." Um, and she basically goes on to explain um, what what a Gigantamax is versus a Dynamax, and Mr. Rose gets a flashback to Oleana as a lab assistant, and it's like, she's still got it in her, and
He's so proud of her.
the as we're fading out, the taxi driver's like, no, I get it, I get it, and she's like, no, you're gonna sit there and explain this to me. I've had a day, or no, you're gonna sit there and hear me out. I've had a day, and
And that's it.
I really enjoyed this episode. Like we said, this was even shorter. I think this is only like 551. Yeah, 551. Um,
And the episode's over.
and we saw, Oleana as a lowly lab tech who, you know, kept her nose to the grindstone and rose to the ranks, and we found out that she's the vice president, so she's basically, Mr. Rose's right hand, and
Absolutely.
it's just so cool. Once again, not a lot of dialogue, a very visual episode, so three in a row, that are extremely visual, um, keeping that through line alive of keeping John's letter on Mr. Rose's plate. Um, I mean, three in a row, really good episodes.
Very
You
good.
know,
And it's
what can
funny
I say?
because they took a minute away from this episode, but they added a minute for the next episode and made it 7 minutes. So they evened themselves out on the next one.
They're
But
like, no, we're not losing our minute.
but but yeah, great episode of the life of an assistant. You can tell she's a little low. I mean, not lonely. I guess you could say she's content with her job, but I kind of feel like she wants more, Doug.
Well, she's content with her job because she knows she's good at it. And I think the moment in the flying taxi, um, you know, with when Mr. Rose was like, "Oh, it looks like you could run this company without me." Um, I think that's
She had a vision.
I think that's both him acknowledging that she could go higher in the organization, but I think it's also her acknowledging that she's comfortable where she's at, and if she wasn't at his right hand, what would get accomplished? Because she had to like kind of nudge him again. She's like, "Don't forget this kid's letter," and he played it off all cool, but I think there was a moment of, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. She's like, this could all be mine one
It's like she's right.
day. So, all right. Well, great episode. Really, really good. Again, that was episode 5, Assistant. And we're getting ready to go on into the next episode, which is episode 6, Moonlight, which it revolves around our hospital friend from the very first episode. So we're bringing it back, Doug.
Yes. So they're not
So
going to let us get too far away, which I like.
yes. So they poked around for a little bit and people are like, okay, so what is this show really about? Because the poster talks about John and Tommy, and we're about to find out, everybody. So not only did you wait all this time, but now it's July and you're finally getting your answer because Moonlight premiered in Japan July 3rd of 2020, and here in the States, July 2nd. Okay, again, a day early, Doug. A day
I'll get
before
used
the
to it.
Japanese release. Oh, I'm not getting used to it because we're back in the we're back here in 2020, and I'm still watching Japanese episodes because we're not getting these episodes for a couple months here in the States.
Well, that's
So
just that's just you being itchy.
yeah, I'm very itchy. It's but well, it doesn't help because with me doing this podcast with you, I get a lot of Pokemon notifications in my phone, like from Google. And Google has no chill. And it's the same with wrestling. I know how to turn it off for wrestling, but Google has no chill for giving me a potential spoiler on a next episode if I don't watch it within a specific amount of time. It's like, oh, they brought back this Pokemon in this episode. You might want to watch this, Chris.
Like, well, I was planning on it.
For real. I was like, I was planning on it, just not yet. Freaking Google, stupid. And I don't want to turn it off because then I'm going to forget to turn it back on and forget that there's a new episode on a specific day. So,
Right. So it's kind of a freaking it's a catch-22, really.
yeah, it's good because, like, we're recording this on a Wednesday, so we're not getting a new episode until tomorrow. But with how the schedule is for Young Sheldon, because I watch Young Sheldon whenever they do have an episode, but they don't even have episodes every single week. Like I leave it up to my phone to tell me, okay, there's a new episode tonight of this show, because they will have one new episode, take 2 weeks off, and then have another new episode. Like they need to get on some type of freaking schedule.
I'm telling you, it's frustrating because it's like, oh, they're back, and then, like you said, then they'll take 2 weeks. It's like, but didn't you just? What do you need? Like, ah,
Because you watch Young Sheldon as well, don't you?
yeah.
Okay.
One of the few shows that I still watch on like a regular broadcast schedule.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm there with you, and it's been they really got me. I know this is not gonna come out until like later, so I mean it's spoiler alert, everybody. But when it comes to young Sheldon and his brother getting that girl pregnant, they got me right now. Like I want to know what's going to happen in these last two episodes that's getting ready to come up because they've captivated me. They're talking on the potential divorce that's getting ready to come up with the mom and the dad, and just man, I'm all in it. But all right. So you ready, bro, to jump on into episode 6?
Yes.
All right. So Doug, as I did in the last episode, I'm gonna have you start episode 6 for us this time.
Okay,
When
so
when you're ready.
we start episode 6,
Titled
and
Moonlight is what it's
and
titled.
fittingly, the first thing we see is a moon at night, and we see it's kind of hazy, and then we see a mask, and
Her name is
we
Alice.
guess what? We don't know that.
Oh no!
Um,
I was just for people that play Sword and Shield. We're looking at Allister right now.
and
Is
I mean, since we're doing that, we do find out that he's a gym leader, but that'll
yes,
come up in a couple seconds. So then we see headstones, and we see they have Pokeballs on them. So we don't know if they're Pokemon. We don't know if they're trainers. I assume they're Pokemon.
yes, they are Pokemon.
And
Th-
oh, for
th-
goodness
th-
sakes,
th-
did I
this,
not
this
have
this is a place in the Sword and Shield video game.
kind of like Lavender Town?
Yes,
Pardon me.
just just a big Pokemon. It's a Pokemon cemetery is where she, or I keep saying she is where he's at.
So then we see Tommy is walking through the graveyard, and we see a ghastly, and he sees what's her name, Alice,
Allister.
Allister. He goes to say something, and he's surprised by the ghastly and Gengar, and
And
he's like,
Haunter.
ah!
All
Oh, I
three.
didn't see Hunter in the shot, and he screams and he takes off running, and the ghost Pokemon are laughing, like they do, and Allister stands up, is like, "Go away," and the the ghost Pokemon are laughing, and Tommy comes up from behind and is like, "Excuse me, my name is Tommy. Could I please get an invite to the champions match, one of Leon's matches?" And Alistair's kind of backing up behind the ghost Pokemon,
And the
and
ghost Pokemon are looking kind of creepy at this point too, like they're about to attack Tommy.
she's like, "Why are you asking me?" And he's like, "Well, I thought because you were a gym leader, um, you might be able to make it happen." And she she looks down and she shakes her head, and Tommy Tommy has to squeeze through the ghost Pokemon, which shouldn't he just be able to walk through them?
Yeah, but ghost Pokemon are still beings, so eh, eh,
Yes, but
because they can do ghost attacks. So I mean, I guess they can make themselves a solid. I think
what?
maybe because how can a ghost Pokemon attack if it can't?
Oh, that's fair. All psychic attacks.
True, true.
Um.
But then
Anyway,
we're shot right back into the hospital with Tommy and John.
yeah, because Tommy's like, it's not for me, it's for my best friend. Um, my best friend John, and then, like you said, we're in the hospital, and we get a little bit more of a backstory. Um, because John's kind of daydreaming about becoming a trainer and going on his own journey one day, and Tommy's like, don't be silly. You've got your head in the clouds. You're not going to be able to do that. And John's like, oh, is there something that you want to do?
And
And
Tommy's like, he's like, we have no idea when or if we'll even get out of this hospital. And then Tommy's like, he's like, but Mr. Rose said that I could become a good Pokemon trainer. And
he,
he's like, the same Mr. Rose hasn't responded to your letter, has he? Stop daydreaming of stuff that can't come true. And
and
freaking Tommy is just like, why would you say that to me? And John just looks down. He's like, well, why did you stop? You don't
he was gonna, because
have to
Tommy was
hold
gonna throw
back.
his shoe at him.
Yeah, he was wiping his shoe down and he was about to fling that thing at him. Like something's really upsetting John right now. I mean, not John. Something's really upsetting Tommy right now, and he was about to just go full force on John, and he stopped himself.
And we go back to present time, and Tommy's sitting in the graveyard, and he's like, before I could apologize, I was released from the hospital. And he said, and you can tell that Tommy's story has really affected the ghost Pokemon. And he says, John really looks up to Leon, so if I could get him a ticket to Leon's match, maybe we can be friends again. And Allister's looking over, and Tommy goes to leave, and he goes to um,
Shake hands with Allister, and Allister kind of scaries, like, kind of gets a little scared. Allister, and a little bit of a backstory that some of you might not know if you haven't played the video game. Allister is a very to himself Pokemon trainer. Like he he's in the shadows, and he doesn't have any friends besides the ghost Pokemon, and he's kind of off a little bit. Even in the Pokemon Journey Master Journeys anime, he finally made an appearance there, and he's just a little off. We never see his face. He's always by himself, and
so he always has that mask on.
yes, never takes it
Okay.
off. We've never seen his face. Not even during a Pokemon battle. But Alistair looks over at Tommy, and he's like, "Hold on." And he's like, "If you want to apologize, you should really go see him in the hospital." And we're jumped right back over, and we see that it looks like Tommy was he's meeting up with the guy that's in every single episode, the taxi driver.
This guy's just banking it.
Yeah, he is. And the owner sees Tommy, and he's looking around, and he gets spooked because he didn't see Tommy and Allister get into his helicopter, because he it looked like he was like cleaning the top to the helicopter, and he's like, ah, and then he Tommy's like, to the hospital and hurry, and then they're off to the hospital, Doug.
And we see like the little what you call that at like the toll booth area, and the guard's sitting there. He's kind of daydreaming, a little dozy, and the door opens. Um, and so he goes and shuts it, and off-screen hands take his paper and his drink,
His coffee.
and that ain't coffee.
It looked like coffee.
That's a beer. That's a
That
and
they
he probably got.
it's a kids show. It's coffee, Doug. Coffee. You can't be
I think
drinking
it
on the job.
ain't coffee. It might be soda.
Possibly.
That's a green bottle.
Yeah.
Um, so off-screen hands take it, and so he closes the door and he turns around and he notices that his stuff isn't there, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he looks out of the booth, and Allister goes, "Blah," and
With Haunter over his head.
so the guard and
Scares the mess out of him.
we then go into John's room, and we see that he's in bed sleeping, and he kind of wakes up. He's kind of dreamy, and he looks, and Tommy is just standing in the shadows,
Just all
and
creepy like.
I would have shit myself. And
So if you woke up and I'm standing at your door, Doug, what would you do?
throw something.
You would throw something at me?
It would probably be my phone because that would be on the nightstand next to me. So
You better hope I catch it.
it's in an otter box. It'll be all right.
True. But
Um,
John looks over at Tommy. He's like, Tommy? And then he's looking over. He's like, he notices that John's not on his machine right now. His machine's sitting right next to him. He's like, then it was successful. And
John's like, yeah, but they want to keep me for observation. And Tommy's like, ah.
he
And he looks down for 1 second. He's like, hey, John, I want to apologize for what I said. And Tommy's like, or John's like, huh? And um,
He's like, what I said before, I take it back.
he's like, when you set your mind to something, you stop seeing anything else around you. Um, he said it's scary to watch sometimes. So he basically gets tunnel vision,
Yeah,
which, who among us hasn't gotten tunnel vision from time to time?
I get tunnel vision all the time, Doug.
Hell yeah, you do.
I know I do.
Can't multitask to save your life unless you want to.
Yeah, unless I want to. It's what my wife tells me all the time. You're only good for one thing at a time unless it's something that conveniences you. I think that's
Asshole.
all. I think that's all married men. Right?
I couldn't speak to that, but I mean, because you're with somebody all the time. I mean,
Yeah,
at a certain point, you start to tune people out.
just a little bit from
I
time.
don't.
Just a little. He's like when you make a decision, you never back down. Sure, I'm sure you'll become a great Pokemon trainer. And when you get out of here, I'll be there to back you up like never before. He's like, let's become the greatest trainers of all time, and let's do it together. And John gives him a nice little nod. And it's at this point that it looks like security's walking through the hospital, and security walks in and checks in on John and sees a little bit of a bump in the bed, but obviously, oh no, he is there. So
Yeah.
John's looking over and he's looking outside his window, kind of daydreaming, and he goes to sleep. And we flash to the outside of the hospital, and we're with Allister and Tommy again. Doug,
And Tommy says, "Thank you so much." And he reaches to shake, and Alistair's like, and kind of thing, and gives him a hand, his bare hand. Um, uh,
you can
'Cause he's
tell
got
he
a
doesn't socialize that much.
right, because he's got a gloved hand and a. Okay, now I don't know, so
Okay,
I'm not asking to stir anything up.
okay.
Alistair a male or a female?
I believe Allister is a male. I believe
Because
so.
from the
I
haircut
it looks like a female.
and the bone structure, and I don't remember because it's been a minute since I watched the episode. I don't remember her voice or their voice,
Let's
but
see. On Bulbapedia, it says Allister is a male. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So she there I go again. He kind of looks and because he's got a glove on one hand and he's got a bare hand on the other, and he was originally going to give him the glove, and then he's like, no, I'm going to give you my bare hand. They shake, and um the the guy with his Corviknight taxi is leaning up against it, and what's that Pokemon that walks up at 557?
At 557, that Pokemon is dun, 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 a Dreepy, I believe. Yes. Yes, a Dreepy.
And just kind of walks by, and the operator's like, I wonder what's keeping those two. I wonder if everything is all right. And wouldn't you know it, he just happens to look back, and Alistair and Tommy are back in the cabin, and he's like, motherfucker.
He's like, stop scaring me. And freaking Ghastly Hunter and Gengar come up right behind him, and he turns around again. He's like, oh, these kids are going to put me in my grave. He's like, it's too late for you guys to be doing these jokes on me.
And they laugh, and everybody's having a good time, except the poor guy needs to go change his shorts.
And we go straight from that to what you would think would be the end of the episode. But next we have Leon in a elevator, and it looks like he's climbing to the top of a building, and you can't really hear what he's saying, but he's talking and he's laughing, and he's going to the top, and there's music playing, and he stands right next to Rose, and Rose hands him a letter, and Leon just looks over at the back of the letter and sees the picture of the drawing. He's like, "So do I really look like this?"
And
And then
that's
it
the
flashes white, and
last
it's the end.
last line of the episode. Yep.
So great episode, Doug.
Yes.
They're just
I
hitting them
mean,
out of the park with these.
yeah, they're on a 4 episode streak, I would say.
Yes. So, but all right. These 2 episodes that you just watched, Doug, what would you rate these 2 episodes?
Um, not as strong, but not like I'm probably gonna cheap out and go like 3.5.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna go 3 on these, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 3, and yeah, not as strong, but they were still entertaining.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but yeah, that was this week's episodes, and again, Doug. So I'm gonna let you pick because I have a Fusion Strike booster pack, and then I have a Brilliant Stars booster pack. One's going to the final episode, and one is going to be opened now. Which one should I open?
Let's go with the stars.
Brilliant Stars. All right. We're going to go ahead and open this. Let's see if I can get it open. There we go. All right. Fingers crossed, everybody. Fingers crossed. I'm pulling it out now. All right. We got a black card, a black promo card on the top, which means that this is most likely going to be a great pack. All right. So, Doug, I'm taking a look now at the energy card. I'm not going to ask you because there's no way in hell you would actually get this one. It is it's a dragon card.
Ah,
So, yes. So, I have a Luxio, a trainer pot helmet, a Sig Sigalith, yeah, Sigalith, a Turtwig, a Trapinch, a Piplup, a Shroomish, a Purlion. My reverse hollow is a Grimer. Ooh, nice! We hit a home run, Doug. Good job. I have a Raikou V card. Nice and holographic. There we
sweet.
go. There we go. One of the legendary dogs. He's the electric legendary dog. This week's promo code is M6MGDK6Q7TWP. So there you go. That is this week's episode. Do you have anything else to add for this week?
No, I'm excited to see these final 2 episodes and see how everything is wrapped up.
All right. Me too, Doug. Me too. So then go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. And again, I guess we will end up seeing you next week. I hope you guys have a good night, everybody. Have a good night.